Welcome to the bold analysis. William Ruto deployed Raila Odinga with a contingent of 4 police officers to South Sudan on Friday morning after Salva Kiir sent 20 police officers to arrest his vice president, Riek Machar, and the wife and decided to put them under arrest. The information that Raila is giving the country hours after arriving from the Juba trip is actually opening a lead on what became a failed mission by the ODM leader, who is the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. And thank you very much for your support towards the channel. We believe each and every day we do this because of your support. And secondly, we'll ask you to subscribe to our channel so that you'll get notifications and so you'll not skip any of our videos. And remember, subscription is absolutely free. There is nothing going to be deducted from your account. We realize that quite a number of us have been raising, a number of our viewers have been raising question, Kevin. So if I subscribe, is that money that's going to be paid like we pay for Netflix? No, there is no subscription fee needed to subscribe to our channel. Just so long as you've logged in through your email, you'll be able to subscribe. Raila went and met Salva Kiir in South Sudan capital hours after he disembarked from the plane. And in a meeting that lasted for less than 1 hour, the ODM leader is believed or is saying he tried to convince Machar to grant him access to meet the embattled Vice President Riek Machar. He tried to ask Salva Kiir to allow him to reach out to Riek Machar, who is put under house arrest, and that was not granted. So he had to fly back to Nairobi, but before that he went to Uganda and met Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, explaining to him about the state of affairs there. And Odinga is saying that Salva Kiir denied him an opportunity to meet Riek Machar, the vice president who was put under house arrest.
Well, as I said yesterday, I went to Juba in South Sudan as an envoy of IGAD. President Ruto had spoken to President Museveni of Uganda, Prime Minister Abiy of Ethiopia, and President Omar Gele of Djibouti. This is because of the deteriorating security situation in South Sudan. So I went to Juba and had a meeting with the President Salva Kiir of the South Sudan in its office. You know that recently the first Vice President, Riek Machar, has been put under house arrest. Him and his wife and a number of other people. This is what concerned the leadership in the region. The situation in South Sudan is explosive and can explode any time. So I had a lengthy discussion with President Kiir, who told me about challenges they're facing, that there was a killing of a general and about 10 other people in the town of Nasir in the Upper Nile. And this is what they're actually investigating. And because of this, he said that Vice President Dr. Riek Machar had been placed under house arrest as they continue with their investigations. From Juba, I asked to be allowed to talked to Dr. Machar, but they were not able to allow me to see him. Instead, they recommended that I meet with President Museveni. So from Juba, I went to Entebbe. I had a meeting with President Museveni. I reported to him what I had found in South Sudan. And after lengthy discussions, he said he was going to get in touch with President Kiir. So we agreed that I would go back to Juba later. So I've come back here, and I just want to say that it is a work in progress. I'm going to make a report to President Ruto and Prime Minister Abiy and President Gele of my findings in South Sudan. The situation requires international attention. I'm happy with the UN for getting engaged in what is going on in South Sudan. I think it is a situation that warrants intervention by international community. Thank you.
If you can say it in Kiswahili.
Maybe before that, first, is it that Machar is linked to the killings of the general and the 10 other people? And also, when are you going back to Juba for the other negotiations?
They have not said that Riek is involved. They're saying that some of his supporters, but they say that some militia who are linked to him, but they have not actually made a direct connection between him and the killing of the general. So we hope that they're going to finalize this matter as quickly as possible. They say that when I go back to Juba, they will allow me. But I've said I will only go back to Juba if they allow me to meet with Dr. Riek. And I don't want to tell you right now when I'm going to go back to Juba.
I saw the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, of course, explaining that Raila Odinga, who was deployed in South Sudan as a special envoy under IGAD, they were in contact with Raila to try to find out what exactly was going on. I did this analysis, and I think I did say that Musalia Mudavadi was supposed to be sent on Monday, and Musalia Mudavadi got an intel from some IGAD envoy telling him not to step there. And there was a question of whether Raila was going to get a breakthrough in the South Sudan conflict. I know that, of course, this was also very important for President William Ruto to deploy Raila Odinga and, of course, to tell the country about how he's given Raila Odinga a job, some envoy job in South Sudan. But if you look at the body language of Odinga and what Odinga is explaining about the state of Sudan, it goes without saying that his mission there failed. And he did not get the breakthrough that probably was needed for that mission. The deployment of Raila in South Sudan, according to me, was much more about local optics, political optics, but without a proper groundwork that was done on what exactly Raila was going to negotiate. I've seen him saying they're going to do a report, and President Ruto is also expecting that the secretariat around Raila Odinga are going to do a report about the situation in South Sudan. And the fact that he went there and was denied access to Riek Machar points out two questions. Some question that I want us to look at. Was it part of the agreement that when he goes there, he must see Machar, or it was in his own understanding and probably his own request that he would meet Riek Machar? Remember, the conflict is by forces pulled by two sides, Salva Kiir and the one by the vice president. And these forces were supposed, the two parties are supposed to be brought on table for any sort of mediation. I am also of the opinion that the South Sudanese problem, the South Sudan problem, is very complex. Remember, this is not a conflict that started yesterday. This is a decade and decades old conflict. The act of just sending Raila was making it a bit more simplistic. And probably he said something on fact-finding mission. The fact-finding mission, and just going to meet one person, the President Salva Kiir, much as Raila perceives it as a fact-finding mission, but from where I'm seated, I'm not seeing anything called fact-finding. What I'm actually seeing is just an attempt that failed. And I want us to look, for example, what happened in this country in 2007. There were some envoys that were brought here, and the ODM team said no. They declined. And for the national accord between Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and late Mwai Kibaki to have been achieved, it took a team. It took a team. So the South Sudan problem, as Ruto, of course, by sending Raila, was to get leverage, to get, his bonga points that he's taken a lead role in searching for peace. But in real sense, the way that was done, even by deploying Raila, then Raila comes back and said, I've been denied access, it is not good, because it looks like probably the parties are not comfortable. And it is not really, the South Sudanese problem is complex. And one of the things, the statement by what this confirms is, number one, could Salva Kiir be uncomfortable with intervention or the mediation effort from IGAD? I had the President Ruto said he called Museveni, he called the President of Djibouti, he called the President of Ethiopia. I don't know about other East African presidents. And then they decided to send Raila. So Raila was supposed to send the first signal. Of course, he said he will go back. But he was supposed to send a signal of, do they really take what IGAD is doing? Or they're not taking the intervention by IGAD. It is a bit too early to hit Salva Kiir on whatever is happening in his conflict with Machar, because, as I said, the Ruto team that were actually working around this, they never understood, but the Sudan conflict is a bottomless hole that you cannot measure. And so you cannot get even how you handle it. Because this is not something that started yesterday. It is a bottomless hole. You cannot get the root cause of it. A situation where the vice president is even being arrested. The other issue here is about, is Raila a neutral person? Because I've read several stories here that Riek Machar is a personal friend to Raila Odinga. You can do your research and look at the time when he was a former prime minister, when he was a prime minister and all that. You'll get history. He's actually talking about Raila and Machar, the vice president the vice president of South Sudan, are close friends. So did Ruto send someone that Salva Kiir is uncomfortable with? And I did I pointed something about the neutrality of that. Then that could also be the profile that was deployed with Raila. I want to believe this problem is deeper. This problem is deeper. The country is torn. I was just looking at some startling statistics. 67,000 citizens displaced. And you still want to say, we've deployed special envoy. I think we underestimated what is there. And the statement by Raila cannot be taken lightly. Thank you.